I thank you so very much for joining me today. This is God's boy, Emmanuel. I'm excited as always to have you with me in the chamber today. I want to admonish you to search out the Guest Chamber podcast on Facebook and YouTube. Follow, subscribe, leave a comment, and like us. We will be glad to have you there. Thank you so much. Today we want to read from the book of Acts chapter 9 from verse 36 to verse 43. Acts chapter 9 verse 36 to 43, and we like to read from the New International Version. It says, "In Joppa there was a disciple named Tabitha. In Greek her name is Dorcas. She was always doing good and helping the poor. About that time she became sick and died, and her body was washed and placed in an upstairs room. Lydda was near Joppa. So when the disciples heard that Peter was in Lydda, they sent 2 men to him and urged him, 'Please come at once.' Peter went with them. And when he arrived, he was taken upstairs to the room. All the widows stood around him, crying and showing him the robes and other clothing that Dorcas had made while she was still with them. Peter sent them all out of the room. Then he got down on his knees and prayed. Turning toward the dead woman, he said, 'Tabitha, get up.' She opened her eyes, and seeing Peter, she sat up. He took her by the hand and helped her to her feet. Then he called for the believers, especially the widows, and presented her to them alive. This became known all over Joppa, and many people believed in the Lord. Peter stayed in Joppa for some time with a tanner named Simon." What an amazing story we see here in the book of Acts chapter 9. And today in the chamber we will discuss the topic, always do good. Always do good. Now we see the story of these good disciples called Tabitha or Dorcas. Tabitha was such a nice Christian that she was always making clothes for the widows and always helping out the poor. She was never tired of doing good. She was not weary in well-doing. But she fell sick and she died. Good people can fall sick. Good people can die, even young. But there was an intervention that is always available from God. And it just so happened that at this time, there was an intervention for her. Because of the way that she does good, the Christians so missed her that they wanted her alive. Folks, my question is, if for any reason you are no more where you are right now, maybe you travel, you relocate, or for some other reason you are not just in the vicinity where you are, will the Christian miss you? Will the brethren miss you? Will your neighbors miss you? Will your community miss you because of the good that you do for them? Because of the interventions that you've made in their life, because of the positive way that you've affected them. In other words, have you affected anyone around you so much so that they notice when you are no longer there? Or when you are in some kind of distress, they come around quickly because they don't want to miss you. Tabitha was sick and died, but Peter was in a city called Lydda, And Lydda was not far from Joppa. And in Lydda, Peter was ministering, and God was backing his effort with signs and wonders. In fact, in Lydda, there was a man named Emmanuel that was paralyzed for over 8 years. And Peter laid hands on him and healed him, and this paralytic became whole. So, when the disciples heard that Peter was in Lydda, they washed the body of Tabitha, and instead of going straight to bury her, they put her in a room upstairs and sent for Peter. 2 men went there to Lydda to call on Peter, and they say, "Come quickly, hasten, come at once. We have an issue we want you to talk to God about." And Peter left with them. And when he arrived, the widows were up there in the room waiting, crying, showing Peter the good clothes that she had made for them. They were telling him all the good she has done, how she has helped the poor. And Peter sent them all out, went on his knees, and said unto her, "Tabitha, rise up." And she rose up, sat down, and Peter helped her up and presented her to the believers, especially the widows. Peter had something to say to God about her. He had a reason to present to God to bring her back to life. Peter had testimonies that he could present to God and say, "God, for these people's sake who are crying unto you to bring this woman back, hear my cry." I believe Peter prayed in that wise, bringing strong reasons why Tabitha was still needed on earth. My question to you, what are your strong reasons that you can bring before God to intervene in your matter? Will people, will other believers, other Christians, the brethren, stand up for you and bring strong reasons before God to intervene on your behalf? If you do not affect the lives of people around you in your time of need, you will be lonely. If you eat all you have, if you get all you can, and then can all you get, you will be lonely in your day of adversity. But if you are the one that is always doing good and helping the poor, in your day of adversity, they will stand up for you. They will wash you and keep you in an upper room, send for help for you. And the helper will have a strong reason to present to God why you are needed alive, why you are needed healthy, why you are needed with resources. So my admonition to you, it always pays to do good and help the poor. It may be the only reason why you are kept alive.